Hold
I
on,
don't
I
know.
need to
We can just,
I've got,
yeah.
oh, we're recording?
No, yeah, that's fine. Who cares?
Okay, well,
You said you need a minute. Who cares? It's
I
okay.
do. Will you edit that part out, though?
We'll see.
Oh, Jesus. Cheese and rice. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our mystery episode, episode 7. It is Justin, Megan, and myself, Amber, tonight.
Yeah, because Corey is in the midst of moving, and so he doesn't really have any setup.
Yeah,
So,
that definitely puts a damper on things, that's for sure.
yeah, unless he wanted to come over, but,
Right.
he's got a child, so.
Well, moving, wife, child, we're still in the heat of some weird world chaos, so that
Yeah.
it happens. So tonight's episode, kind of like we said a couple weeks ago, it'll be a mystery, right? So with everything going on, and Megan was in a wedding this past weekend. Justin's been promoting his new music video and his new
Woot woot.
music. Shout out.
Sick, yeah.
The ocean deep.
Thank you,
Oh,
Megan.
that's so sweet.
I was waiting for
Yeah.
Justin to promote himself, but that clearly wasn't going
he
to
doesn't-
happen.
Yeah, he doesn't talk about himself.
No. So I was like, you know what? Like, let me take the stress off. Let's actually do a mystery episode. I'll be the only one who knows what we're going to talk about. And I'll do all the work essentially, like leading up, and you guys can do your thing for the next couple weeks. So are you guys ready to hear what we're going to talk about tonight?
Sure, yeah. I'm
Okay.
ready.
I know you guys have been on the edge of your seats. This is all you've thought about for 2 weeks, right? Clearly.
I'm kind of scared, actually, honestly.
I'm not gonna lie. I will talk about this later, but I am not happy that I chose this topic because some creepy shit has happened to me. And yeah, we'll talk about that. So we are going to talk about possession tonight.
Dun dun dun.
Yes, thank you, Justin. So I have my little love like crystals that I got given to me at Crowhaven Corner, and my rose quartz that was made for me by my friend Rachel, because I, like I said, have had some weird things happen this week while I've been researching this, and I just felt like I needed some extra help and protection tonight.
Sure.
So I hope you guys feel safe together over there.
Well, that's to be determined.
Yeah, we'll
Yes.
see.
Okay. And I don't know, you guys are in St. Francis. I'm in Coon Rapids. Like, it randomly started thunderstorming 5 minutes before here while we were about to record. So that's going on over
Yes.
here.
Sick.
Same.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a good ambiance going. All right, I'm going to take
I
a sip
hate
of my
rain.
water. I love rain.
No, it's too depressing. I think it's like an OCD type thing because I hate it touching my body.
Okay, that's fair. I don't like the way it feels, but I like the sound of it, and I like the thunder and lightning. I just think it's eerie that it's happening right now.
Yeah.
And again, we'll touch on all the weird things that have happened this week to me. So,
Mhm.
all
Mother
right.
Nature.
Yeah.
It's
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature. All right. So, possession, let's just dive right in, shall we?
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, when we think of possession, what we're going to focus on tonight is like the Christianity and Catholicism view of possession. But I'll touch on some just other religions as well, because there's a whole broad spectrum of what possession actually looks like, religion to religion. But essentially, what it is it's the conviction that demons exist and that they exist to harass, derange, and smite human beings. And this is tied with that belief that demons exist and can possess people, which is one of the most widely held religious beliefs in the world. And it dates back as far as just religion in general itself. So when we look at like Hindu writings, there are writings that date back between 1500 and 500 BC that refer to supernatural beings, which are largely understood today as demons. So, I mean, the thought of demonic possession goes back farther than I my thought process can even reach. So I thought that was pretty cool. What we look at is that thought of, our cliche is the demonic possession, right? And it involves the belief that an alien spirit or demon or entity controls a person's actions. So they control our thoughts, our actions, how we behave, all of that fun stuff. Right.
Right.
Questions so far? Thoughts?
Yeah, I don't. No questions. Just
Okay.
I don't like this topic because it's scary.
Okay, well, it's not going to get better. I'm not going to lie.
It'll be fine.
Just easing us in. It's okay.
Okay, we will. Yes, we're easing in. The whole idea of like the demonic possession and that invading spirits essentially are evil, that is mostly a Judeo-Christian concept. So many religions and many belief systems, Justin, you're laughing. I know, right? A lot of other belief systems acknowledge that possession can be both beneficent and malevolent. So like when we talked about voodoo in our last episode. A boot. A boot.
Minnesotan.
I know. So when we talked about voodoo in our last episode, I don't know about you guys, but my whole perception of their idea of possession was very much like, oh, this is just how we communicate to our God, right? Like there's a high priest or a high priestess who allows the Lao into their body, and that Lao, that spirit, communicates from God to the followers about guidance or a lecture, basically, right? Advice, fortune telling, that sort of thing. So not every religion believes that all forms of possession are evil. There's also, like our New Age beliefs. So like Wicca, they see channeling, or when dead spirits are allowed to inhabit a medium's body and communicate through them, as a form of possession. And that's not necessarily always an evil thing, right? But for the sake of this episode, because that's like 3 different topics, we're going to look at the demonic possession.
Sure.
Of course. So I kind of touched on like the whole voodoo aspect, but there's a lot of other religions that have different forms of possession as well. So in the Jewish faith, for example, I don't know if you guys have heard of like a Dybbuk or a Dybbuk box.
No.
Okay. Side note, great sidebar, I think that would be a fun episode all on its own because these things are freaking creepy. But a Dybbuk is a Jewish demon. So what it is it's a soul that inhabits a victim until it's accomplished a task or atoned for a sin from its previous life. So that's a Dybbuk, which is a Jewish form of a demon. And they have a whole process for like their own exercising, and that's where the Dybbuk box comes in. So a little different than what we think of when we think of like Christianity or Catholicism. Islam believes in more of like the creature aspect, right? So a jinn, have you guys heard of a jinn before?
Alcohol?
How do you spell that?
Jinn, Megan.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be like the drink.
That was a great question, Megan.
I'm just curious.
I love it. Gin and tonic, please, to help my possession. No. So a jinn is essentially kind of like a genie, kind of, but not like an Aladdin genie, not like a nice genie.
Okay, so we're just living in this giant storybook.
Yes.
And everybody's got all these different stories. Sorry. No,
go ahead.
Well, I don't know. I mean, never mind.
I mean, they come from somewhere, right? Like someone, and we'll get there. But a jinn might possess an individual, such as like falling in love with them, taking revenge for hurting them or their relatives, or other reasons that we just we'll never know. They're not necessarily considered evil, but they're still not exactly like pleasant, right? So different forms of possession. And then Buddhism also has different types of possession as well. So these words, like, I just can't even, I'm going to butcher them so bad. So I apologize to anyone who might be practicing Buddhism that's listening just ahead of time. But oh my goodness, I've tried practicing these too. Klesa Mara, the embodiment of unskillful emotions, so such as greed, hate, delusion. These are demons of delusion or defilement. Murtuo Mara is death, so demons of Lord of Death.
Okay.
Skanda Mara is a metaphor for the entirety of conditioned existence. So not necessarily what we think of when we would think like Christian or Catholic demon possession, right? A little bit different. And with Buddhism, it's believed that those demons will just depart on their own to a different realm once the demon is appeased. So once it is happy with whatever its host has done, or is given some sort of sacrifice, that sort of thing.
Okay.
When we get to Christianity, right? So this is, I'm kind of scrolling up here because this is where we're going to keep going. Christianity, from the very beginning, has really truly believed that possession derives strictly from the devil, so Satan himself. All of his lesser demons, so all of those fallen angels, and that it is a battle between Satan and heaven. So one of those strategies is to possess us, human beings. Enter the Catholic faith.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes.
There you are.
There you are. Kill you with my thumb.
So these are just, they find a host,
essentially,
is what you're telling me?
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
And there's all different beliefs for where hosts come from. So some of the research I did said, like, a host has to be inviting, so kind of wanting it, right? Like dabbling in the occult and kind of tempting those fates. And other things that I researched said that it's maybe someone who's very devout, like loves God and Jesus and goes to church and is very, very religious. And they're almost taken over because of that, because they're so faithful, and used as like a vessel to show like, hey, we're real, here we are.
Okay. So I'm safe then.
I mean, maybe, who knows? There's
well, I'm safe because first of all, that's not me.
Yes.
And then the first one about wanting it to enter my body, that's not me either. So
I mean, the title of this is Don't Follow Me Home. So I'm hoping that just keeps them all away tonight. I'm not going to lie. I'm coming into this episode very anxious.
Just start shaking Sage, your cat.
Yeah,
I should
shake your cat.
She's on the bed next to me. She's protecting me. So Catholic exorcists, right? And I'll explain an exorcism in just very briefly in a minute here. They differentiate between ordinary satanic demonic activity or influence, and then extraordinary. And that can look like 6 different forms, which ranges from just the complete control of Satan or some demons to a voluntary submission. So there's possession, where Satan or demon or demons take full possession of a person's body without their consent. But sorry, I need to pause so that I don't laugh too hard here. It's usually because this person did something that caused it to happen. So basically saying, like, you deserved to be possessed and most likely die from this.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. Then there's obsession. So that would include like sudden attacks of irrational obsessive thoughts, usually coming from suicidal ideation, which then influences dreams. Then there's oppression, which if you think of movies like The Conjuring, Ed and Lorraine Warren talk about some of these things. Oppression being there's no loss of consciousness or involuntary action.
Yeah. Been hearing a lot of that word lately.
Oppression. Oh, geez. Cheese and rice. We're moving on. And then there's external physical pain, which is caused by Satan or some demons, which we'll be hearing about in a moment here. And then there's infestation, which affects houses, things, or animals. So, like, for example, when you hear about, like in the Amityville case, they talk about like blood dripping down the walls. Or when you think about like, oh my gosh, my cat seems like it's watching something that I can't see that doesn't look like it's there, right? Or my dog suddenly got sick and all these weird things started happening around the house. Things moving on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then there's subjection. So when a person voluntarily submits to Satan or demons, so essentially allowing them in.
Okay.
When we look at how do we know if someone is possessed, right? How do we know?
Mm-hmm.
So superhuman strength, I like that word because it adds a little bit of lightness to the conversation. But for example, I will mention crushing an apple with just their hand, right? In one of the cases I'm going to talk about. Or also like throwing someone across the room like they're a rag doll, lifting a bed up. Superhuman strength that cannot be explained is one huge thing. Speaking in tongues or languages that the victim, there's no way that they could have learned overnight. So like I used to know Spanish very well. So if I suddenly started speaking Spanish, it wouldn't be super odd. But if all of a sudden I started speaking Greek or Italian and you guys knew she's never, ever talked about knowing those languages, that would be a sign that I was possessed. Knowledge of things that there's no way the victim could know. So something that, for example, Justin or Megan, you guys had kept hidden from me, and all of a sudden I started calling you out on it, like saying, well, I know you were here during this time, you did this thing, and you know for a fact you've never told me those exact things. And then blasphemous rage, obscene hand gestures, using profanity, and aversion to holy symbols. So, like, I'm sure we can all think of some horror movie we've seen this in, right? Like the cross being held up to someone who's possessed, or holy water being splashed on them, and they just go into like temper tantrum rage mode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thoughts so far? Questions?
My heart's beating a little faster.
Okay, you're possessed. No, I'm just kidding.
No, weren't you possessed one time though?
So
we talked about it in the first episode, I think.
It's hearsay.
Yeah,
it's hearsay.
So like, obviously I don't think I was like Catholic or Christian belief possessed, but I believe something used me to speak through me, right? Through the Ouija board and myself. With Corey's and mine and Gary's experience, right? When it was
Gary.
Yep.
Shout out. Yeah, no, that was not a fun experience. So that's why I think this freaked me out a little bit more, because I can't imagine going through what the two cases I'm going to read went through. It just, losing time, even for that like 30 to 45 minutes, was not pleasant. But then feeling like when I came out of it, I had no control of my body, and I felt sick. I felt weak. I ran to the bathroom because I felt like I was going to dry heave. I was sweating profusely. Not a fun experience. And I can't imagine that being my life for months to years on end.
Yeah.
No thanks. So again, we're sticking to Christian and Catholic viewpoints right now for this episode. Okay. So how do we how do we get rid of a possession? How do we deal with it?
An exorcism.
Gold star, Justin. Yes.
Thank
And
you. Thank you.
what is an exorcism?
Is this school or what? Is this okay? A priest comes and they say the power of Christ compels you, and
The cross.
Yes, the cross.
And holy water.
Uh-huh. Yep, the power of Christ compels you, the cross, holy water, lots of actions happening.
And then the victim throws up
yelling.
everywhere. So.
Oh yeah, pea soup, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yep. I know. Oh, so gross. Yes, right. That's what we think of because of movies like The Exorcist. And we're not far off, honestly. So what an exorcism is it's the act of driving out or warding off demons or evil spirits from persons, places, or things which are believed to be possessed or infested by them. So like houses can be exorcised. Like it doesn't necessarily just have to be a person. It can be like a house or like a building of some sort, right? Like I'm sure some of the asylums out there or state hospitals could probably use an exorcism. Relics like Annabelle the doll, right? So
yeah.
I know. Ugh, nope. So like things that get attachments to them can be exorcised. It doesn't just have to be a person. Anything that is felt or said to be touched by an evil entity. And I thought this was interesting. So when the Catholic Church looks at exorcism, it actually has 3 different types of exorcisms. So a baptism apparently is considered a type of exorcism. So it's blessing the infant prior to that baptism to cleanse it of evil resulting from original sin. I had no clue that was considered a pre-exorcism, just in case. So
I didn't know there was a pre-exorcism.
I know, neither did I. You learn something new every day.
Right.
And then there's just, I'm doing air quotes right now, simple exorcism. So it's just a blessing of a place or a thing to rid it of evil influence.
You're not using them right, Joe.
So many Friends references tonight. I love it.
Always.
So that would be like, for example, if you move into a new house, before you move all your stuff in and move your family in, you would have your priest come and bless your house just in case, to have that, positive, natural harmony in the house. And then there's the real exorcism. So that's performing the rite of exorcism to rid a human being of diabolical possession. A real exorcism is what most of us think of when we think of exorcism. So this is when the priest, like you said, Justin, right, comes in and he's dealing with a human who is possessed by the devil or demons. That is what we think of when we think of like the holy water and the cross and what did you say? Why can't I think of it? Compels you?
Power of Christ.
Power of Christ. Thank you. Yes, the power of Christ compels you.
So that's like DEFCON 5 there?
Yes, it is. That is exorcism, the real exorcism. And this actually dates back all the way to 1614. So this has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years. Nice little note, though. It did get updated in 1999. So, we're, it's always nice, right, to know that things get updated. And when we think of the stages of exorcism, so we look at like the pretense, right? So the priest comes in and he talks to the victim, the host, whatever you want to call them, and the demon's hiding its true identity. So this person might have little breakthroughs where they seem perfectly normal. Then they might have little fits of rage. They might call the priest some very unholy names, but then lots of back and forth, right? Because the demon is trying to hide. Then there's the break point. So after exorcism is really getting intense and the priest is demanding to know, who are you? What do you want? The demon finally reveals itself.
Okay.
Then there's the clash. So think of like oh my God, I can see it in my head. The MTV show where they had in like the 90s, where it was the clay figures fighting Celebrity Deathmatch, I think it was.
Yeah.
That's what I picture in my head, right? So just
Okay.
a clay figure of a priest and a demon. So the exorcist and the demon are fighting for the soul of the possessed at this point. So the exorcist, the priest, he is doing the whole, the power of Christ compels you, holy water cross, saying the prayers, asking for the person themselves from behind the demon to fight for their own soul. And the demon is trying to fight to keep the soul.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you got to be like extremely ballsy if you're this priest, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you have to stand your ground because they're just
Mhm.
trying to intimidate you.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like that one. I don't know if it's. I can't remember the story or whatever, but like if a human, if like the devil comes in like a human form, or if the devil's trying to take you out on a hill or something,
Uh-huh.
then you just pretty much have to say like, oh, how much you love God and stuff like that, and then they try to
Mhm.
tell you otherwise until
Mhm.
they get like so defeated and they're like, okay, there's no point to this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, like the priest has to be super strong. So it's not like every priest who becomes a priest is just allowed to be an exorcist. Like there's an actual process you have to go through. You have to prove yourself. You have to prove to be strong enough, strong in your faith, confident
Yeah.
enough.
Have to get a certificate by the state of Utah.
I mean, you do. You just go online, right, and do a little class.
Sure.
But in all reality, like they do take this very seriously, and shockingly, so surprising, but also not surprising. This was actually a pretty tough topic to research because not much was wanting to come up on it. It seemed like, so it's still like a sensitive subject for people to talk about, but at the same time, I did find that over the last few years, more exorcism has become more and more, I don't want to say popular, but like priests are getting more and more requests for exorcism in the US in the last few years than they've ever received.
Interesting.
So like it's a in high demand.
Yeah.
So they need to be, like you said, Justin, they have to be ballsy because you're literally going up, regardless of what you think the person is actually going through. Like you have to be in that state of mind that no, I'm going up against some sort of evil here, and I have to win for this person.
Yeah, even if you think that they're like BS in this whole thing, like, or they're over exaggerating, they have
Yep.
to pretend.
Yep. And I mean, at the same time, there is a whole process that the church requires them go through. Like there does have to be psychological screenings, especially now in the 21st century and everything. So it's not like, oh yeah, no, you talked about peeing on the floor a couple times and hearing voices. Yeah, you're possessed. Let's do an exorcism, right? Like there is a
Yeah,
whole screening process.
been there.
You told them? Sorry. Okay. Oh my goodness. So then the final step, once all of that has happened, right, is expulsion. And this is obviously like best case scenario. And it even says like if the exorcist wins the battle, the demon leaves the body of the possessed. So this is what we want, obviously. Um so when you guys think of possession, what are some of the main, whether it's a movie or a case that you've heard about that come to mind, or like a picture? I don't know.
Possession. I don't know. It's really cliche to say The Exorcist.
The Exorcism and the Emily Rose.
Not cliche at all, Justin. And
Right.
you're both right on point. So,
Yes, I am.
Boom.
Thank you so much.
The Exorcist, this is to me what is terrifying about it, right? Like, I love that movie because I love horror movies, I love cult classics, and yes, some of it's corny, but it's still, like, I love the history behind it in general, not even like the stuff that it's based off of necessarily, just the effect that it had on people when it came out completely just blows my mind. Like, people were fainting in the theaters, and people were throwing up because it was so intense. And for the 70s, absolutely. But here's the creepy part. It is based off true events that happened in 1949 to a teenage boy.
What year was that again? Sorry.
1949.
Oh, that's not that long ago.
No, it's really not. I mean, we weren't alive, but still, our grandparents were, at least mine were, which is really scary to think about for me. So he goes by the pseudonym Roland Doe, and he is the inspiration for the novel The Exorcist, written by William Blatty.
What?
Are you okay,
Sorry,
Justin?
Yeah, no.
Are you getting
Roland
nervous?
Chang.
I know. Oh my Lanta.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Continue, please.
It's okay. So Roland was an only child, and he was very, very close to his aunt, who was a spiritualist. He would spend summers with her, and since he was an only child, a lot of his caretaking and playtime sounds weird, but like interaction with people came from the adult authority figures in his life, and his aunt was one of those people. He was very, very close to her, and she showed him how to use the Ouija board. Shocking, I'm sure.
Does everything correlate to the Ouija board? That's a real question.
I mean, I feel like a lot of stuff does, but my second story doesn't.
Okay.
All right, then.
But this one definitely does. So
Sweet.
that was like a big thing they would do together, because if you remember from our Ouija board episode, back in the 40s, it wasn't weird to do. It wasn't creepy. It was just a way to, hang out with your family and communicate with loved ones who had passed on, people who 1949. So I think he was alive during the end of World War I and the beginnings of World War II. So probably trying to get answers from maybe soldiers who had passed away. It wasn't a weird thing. So it's just something he did with his aunt. And again, they were very, very close. She got really sick and died when he was around 14 years old. So absolutely devastating for him and his whole family, I'm sure, not just him. But very shortly after she died, he continued playing with the Ouija board. When this happened, his parents started to report strange phenomena in their house. So furniture would move on its own. There were scratching noises coming from his mattress. His mattress would move on its own, and other objects around the house would levitate. The paranormal occurrences Roland's parents always observed happened around their son. So not when he was out of the room, not when it was just them, just around their son. Obviously disturbed, his family sought the help of every expert they knew. His parents consulted doctors, psychiatrists, their local Lutheran minister, but none of them were any help. According to accounts, a priest conducted an exorcism on Roland. Had to throw in a little there, at Georgetown University Hospital in D.C. During this time, the boy managed to snap off a bed spring from underneath his mattress and use it to slash the priest's arm.
Jeez.
Yeah. Again, he's only 14. Let's just put that into context for a second for, again, the strength, the abnormal superhuman strength. A few days later, red scratches appeared on the boy. One of the scratches formed the word Louis, which indicated to Ronald's mother that the family needed to go to St. Louis, where they had relatives, in order to find a way to save their son. Oh my gosh. Sorry, thunder just started again. I kind of got freaked out.
Jeez.
Okay, so there in St. Louis, priests carried out at least 20 exorcisms over the course of a month. Witnesses claimed that Roland spoke in a deep, unrecognizable voice and spouted Latin phrases he had never learned. He reportedly vomited so profusely that the exorcist performing the rite had to wear a raincoat. And he thought...
I'm sorry.
Okay. It's okay. I'm picturing it too.
I'm just picturing Stand By Me.
Stand by me.
No, the movie.
Lard ass.
I know.
Yes. It's okay. Humor is good right now. This is good.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he fought so violently that 10 people were required to hold him down. Again, a 14-year-old boy. Justin, I've never been a 14-year-old boy, but were you so strong at the age of 14 that 10 people would have to hold you down if you were upset?
Yeah, you have no idea my strength.
Okay, well.
No, you
Thank
would
you,
cry
Megan.
at Titanic in the corner.
There we go. There's a real answer. All right. One of the priests said that at a certain point he saw the word hell appear as though etched into Roland's flesh. At one point during this weeks-long ordeal, the priest reportedly saw an X appear in scratches on Roland's chest, which he believed signified the number 10, leading him and witnesses to believe Roland was possessed by 10 demons. In another incident, a pitchfork-shaped pattern of red lines moved from the boy's thigh and snaked down towards his ankle. These types of things happened every night for more than a month. What was that?
Megan?
Oh, my Lanta. That just
Sorry.
scared the crap out of me.
On a meme?
Sorry. I thought it was Devin. I don't know.
No.
It was my phone. I know.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
Okay. Oh,
My
okay,
bad,
deep
Alan.
breaths. This isn't even the bad part, guys. Come on.
Oh, Christ.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Okay, deep breaths. On the evening of March 20th, the exorcism reached an unhealthy new level. Ronald urinated all over his bed and began shouting and cursing at the priest. Now, Ronald's parents had had enough. They took him
Was he tied down? Sorry.
Honestly, I don't know. I would assume so because it took 10 people to hold him down at one point.
Okay. I just wanted to know if that was like a cliche of movies.
It's not per my second case.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume so. If it took 10 people at one point to hold him down, you probably are going to tie the kid down at one point.
Right. Just curious.
No, yeah, yep. Yes. So they took him to Alexian Brothers Hospital in St. Louis for more serious treatment. Finally, on April 18th, a miracle occurred in Ronald's room at Alexian Brothers. It was the Monday after Easter, and Ronald awoke with seizures. He yelled at the priest, saying that Satan would always be with him. The priest laid holy relics, crucifixes, medals, and rosaries on the boy. At 10:45 that evening, the attending priest called on St. Michael to expel Satan from Ronald's body. They shouted at Satan, saying that St. Michael would battle him for Ronald's soul. 7 minutes later, Ronald came out of his trance and simply said, "He's gone." The boy recounted how he had a vision that St. Michael vanquished Satan on a great battlefield. There were no more documented instances of strange occurrences and behavior after that, and Ronald went on to live a completely normal life from that moment forward, from documents.
Interesting.
Yes. So that is the true story of where The Exorcist comes from. So when we think of that movie, that is what the novel and the movie are based off of. And the house in St. Louis is still standing, and it's reported to be haunted because they exorcised the boy, but they never did anything with the house. So there's reports of scratching noises on the top floor, things being moved by themselves, people seeing shadow figures, windows opening and closing on their own. Ghost Adventures has gone there to investigate. Other ghost hunters and paranormal investigators have gone there. A few years ago, there was a live exorcism done of the house on Destination America. So it's like and I have a picture of the house that I'll post on our websites and everything. So it's like a real, like the whole thing is just a real deal, and the house itself has carried on that whole story just through up to the last like couple years.
That's bonkers.
Bonkers? Okay, before I share my second story, how are we doing? What are our thoughts?
Besides that random video that played.
Sorry.
Jesus.
I'm doing okay. I
Okay.
mean, I'm doing all right.
All right. Megan, how about you?
Good.
Good? Okay.
It's good.
It's good. Okay. All right. Are we ready to hear Megan, right on point, Exorcism of Emily Rose?
I did bring that up.
Ready to hear the true story behind that movie?
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
I actually never watched that movie because those movies scare me.
So as you both know, like it takes a lot for me to get scared from a horror movie. This one terrifies me.
Like the actual movie or the story?
Well, both, but the movie because it puts a visual to everything, and obviously it is dramatized for Hollywood. So here is where I will put. I'm gonna suggest we put a disclaimer on our episode. So there is audio for this, and it is chilling. It is disturbing. The pictures that I'm gonna post are very sad and disturbing. So just be warned if you're listening that if you need to take a break, if you need to fast forward, it's only going to be about 45 seconds of audio because I could only sit through about 5 to 10 seconds, so I wasn't going to make us listen to the whole 3 minutes. And the pictures, I waited until today to download them because I did not want them on my phone longer than they needed to be.
Ah, yes.
So with that, are we ready?
Yes,
okay.
I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm warming up my hands even though they're very hot already. So the Exorcism of Emily Rose is from 2005, which just boggles my mind that it's that old. And it's not entirely fictional. So like I said, obviously it's dramatized for Hollywood, but it is based on actual experiences of a girl from Germany named Anneliese Michel. And again, I apologize if I'm butchering the way that her name is said.
That's okay.
So, thank you, Megan. So similar to the movie, she did grow up devoutly Catholic. However, she's in Bavaria, West Germany in the 1960s. She attended Mass twice a week, very, very, very faithful. Her family was very faithful, very religious. But in 1969, when she was 16, things started to take a turn for her. So she suddenly blacked out at school and began walking around in a daze, where witnesses say she almost looked like she was in a trance. She doesn't remember anything from that event, but her friends and family said that it was, like I said, in a trance-like state. So, I kind of picture it almost like sleepwalking a little bit. This was the very first occurrence. About a year later, she experienced a similar occurrence where she woke up and she wet her bed. Her body went through a series of convulsions, causing her body to shake uncontrollably. So again, if we're thinking clinical here, we would think seizures, right? Kind of picture that. Which is why she went to a neurologist, because that second time, obviously you're going to be concerned. So she goes to a neurologist and they diagnose her with temporal lobe epilepsy, which causes seizures, loss of memory, and you can experience visual and auditory hallucinations. She gets diagnosed, she starts taking meds for the epilepsy, and she enrolls in the University of, Würzburg in 1973. However, what? You know it well? Oh, yeah, me too. Been there a million times, right? However, that year is when things really started to escalate for her. She began hearing knocking noises in her bedroom, which her sister also reported hearing. She began smelling really terrible things, she described it as burnt feces, and other people around her reported they could also smell it, but nobody could ever find a source.
Ew.
Right. At one point, her mom reported finding her just staring, in quotes, furiously at a statue of the Virgin Mary with jet black eyes.
Yikes.
And at this point, Anneliese began to exhibit abnormal strength, crushing an apple till it exploded in her hand and throwing her sister across the room like a rag doll. She began to see faces, demonic faces, which would tell her she was damned. The faces would appear to Annalise as she prayed, and they would promise her that she would stew in hell. She told her doctors, who did put her on antipsychotics. So at this point, 1973, she's on anti-epileptics and antipsychotics. However, despite these medications, she was still seeing the face of the devil wherever she went, and she would hear demons whispering in her ears. When she would hear demons telling her that she was damned, she would rot in hell, all while she was praying. At this point, she concluded that the devil must be possessing her. Since the medication didn't seem to help, Annalise fell into a pit of depression. At this point, it's been about half a decade, and doctors have tried every drug under the sun to help her, but nothing has seemed to work. Annalise was continuing to have convulsions. She was continuing to see the face of the devil, hear these voices. While she was still taking the medication, she began to believe that she was possessed by a demon and that she needed to find a solution outside of medicine. So with modern science failing, the Mikkel family turned to their church for help. Annalise sought out priests to help her with demonic possession, but all the clergy she approached rejected her requests, saying that she could seek medical help and that they needed the permission of a bishop anyway. At this point, things became extreme. She started to rip off the clothes of her body, compulsively perform up to 400 squats a day, crawl under tables, she barked like a dog for 2 days straight. She ate spiders and coal, bit the head off a dead bird, and licked her own urine from the floor.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Christ.
Well, finally, she and her mother found a priest, Ernst Alt, who believed in her possession. He stated that, in quotes, she didn't look like an epileptic, and this is from court documents. Ernst Alt watched Annalise Mikkel shake on the floor. He listened to her explain the devilish faces that she would see and the things that they would tell her. He witnessed her urinate on the floor and begin to lap it up like a dog. He witnessed her eat the coal. All of this, Pastor Alt believed, was proof that Annalise was not suffering from a serious medical condition, but that demons had entered her body, looking to take her soul. Alt petitioned the local bishop, Bishop Joseph Stengel, who eventually approved the request and granted a local priest, Arnold Renz, permission to perform an exorcism. With the permission, though, it was ordered that it was carried out in total secret. So clearly, exorcism was still very hush-hush back then. Mm-hmm. Over the next 10 months, Alt and Renz conducted 67 exorcisms, lasting up to 4 hours each.
Jesus.
Yeah. Through these sessions, Annalise revealed that she believed she was possessed by 5 demons: Lucifer, Cain, Judas, we'll just say Judas because I can't say that last name, Adolf Hitler, and Nero. All these spirits would jostle for power of Annalise's body and would communicate from her mouth with a low growl. So at this time, Justin, I'm going to ask you to play the audio. What I found was really nice because the beginning, like the first 14 seconds, is her talking before all of this happened. So you can hear how she would sound normally. And then it goes into some of the exorcism audio, which that's the disturbing part. And it's all in German, so I have no idea what's being said.
Okay, so you want me to start at 14 seconds?
Yeah, 13, 14, yeah.
Right.
So she sounds like a very sweet girl at first.
All right.
Aber dass das dann so schlimm ist und so grausam und so furchtbar, nee. Das tut mir leid, das ist so leicht zu sagen, aber wenn es dann wirklich schlimm wird, da will man überhaupt nicht mehr, da will man kein Schlimm.
And the pause is the break.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hitler, it says.
Mm-hmm.
Sind wir schon 3?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, this is Cain.
My God.
Yeah.
Du gibst nur dort, wo die Liebe ist. Du Hass. Und wo du Hass ist, da gibt's keine Ruhe. Und für uns gibt's nie Ruhe. Nie.
Is that it?
Fleischman.
Oh, okay, so you're still going.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's cool. Do you want me to stop? Judas.
Jeez.
Die müssen in eigenen Seminaren ausgebildet werden. Die dürfen nicht auf die anderen Universitäten. Kapiert? Klar. Ist das sonst noch etwas zu sagen? Weil der Teufel größere Macht.
Lucifer.
Oh, geez. I didn't listen this far.
Im Namen deines Sohnes bin Jungfrau, im Namen Jesu. Befehle ich dir auszufahren. Im Namen des dreifaltigen Gottes, des Vaters. Im Namen des dreifaltigen Geistes. Befehle ich dir auszufahren und nicht.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
we're done? Okay, good, because I did not
Yeah.
listen that far. I'm not going to lie. I am sweating profusely right now.
The fuck, man.
Okay, right? So that is the thing that makes this case before like I continue it. So famous today still are those recordings. So quick check-in. How are you two?
Well, I got a couple questions
Yeah.
because, like,
Oh, creepy.
I mean, obviously we don't know like German and stuff like that.
No.
But, how? Maybe they are speaking, and maybe the words that they're saying are saying who they are, because like otherwise, how would they decipher who's who?
Yep. So there are other audio clips where they have sorry, my like prefrontal lobe is stressed right now, so it's a little shut down.
Okay.
Oh my god, what's the word I'm looking for? Subtitles. Thank you, brain.
Oh,
Where there are subtitles. So I wasn't, since we weren't going to put the whole video clip up, but like I was like, what's the point? And people can look that up on their own if they so choose. So there are some videos out there that have subtitles for these audio clips. But that's my guess, because part of the whole exorcism rite is getting them to admit who they are and come forward. So
and well, in that video, it was showing the pictures of her.
yeah, those are the ones that I've got
Just-
on my phone to put up. Yep.
Yeah, just terrifying.
Yeah.
Yep. And so sad, because I mean, think about the 14 seconds before all the horror started. She sounds like such a sweet girl, like such a just average young woman voice, and all of a sudden, just literally all hell breaks loose.
Yeah.
Ah, all right. So, anyone else sweating right now? Need some new deodorant? New pair of shorts, perhaps? How we all
Old
doing?
Spice swagger. It
Yeah,
works really
yeah.
well.
Whew. All right. I took a few swigs of water there because I felt like I needed to hydrate. So despite what we just heard, for a time, some of the exorcisms did seem to help, and she was able to return to school, and even began attending church again. Unfortunately, though, it did not last. And as of spring 1976, the seizures worsened, and she began to attack family members, biting and scratching them. If she couldn't get her hands on her sisters, she would attack herself. She refused to eat, telling family and the priests that the demons would not allow her to eat. And that's about the time that the compulsive praying began as well. So collapsing to her knees, rising back up, to the point where she was doing it hundreds of times a day, and she broke her kneecaps in the process. And this is where the restraint comes in, Megan. So over these 10 months, as you just heard, she became quite violent. So she was restrained so that the priests could conduct the exorcisms, because otherwise she was just attacking herself or everyone else. Unfortunately, this doesn't have as happy of an ending as Roland Doe. She did die of what the reports are is of malnutrition and dehydration on July 1st, 1976, and she was only 23 years old.
Oh my God.
I know. This one is honestly like heartbreaking, and as goosebumpy, full body chills, excessive sweat as I have, like it also just breaks my heart. Here's the creepy thing, though. So this was brought to court, just like in the movie of Exorcism of Emily Rose, because the state thought that her parents and the priests were neglectful of the physical stuff that was going on. The autopsy, however, showed no signs of brain injury or brain trauma that would either have been caused by epileptic seizures or showed signs of epilepsy. It also showed no signs of ulcers, which would be common if our bodies were going through a natural state of starvation. So that, to me, like, that science piece is also like ties in with like the audio clips for me. Like, as someone who has epilepsy, like, I was told my brain is very nice at one point with a brain MRI recently, but there is still signs that I have seizure activity, right? Because I've had it since I was a very young child. So for her to have such excessive seizures in an autopsy, that should be shown if it was like natural and not supernatural, right?
Right.
After her death, so kind of like I just prefaced a little bit, her story became a national sensation in Germany. Her parents and the two priests were charged with negligent homicide. They came before the court, used the recording that we just heard. I mean, it's much lengthier. There's hours and hours of audio to try and justify what happened. But in the end, the two priests were found guilty of manslaughter. They were sentenced to 6 months in jail, which was later suspended, and then they had 3 years of probation from their priestly duties. And the parents, so this is a German law. I honestly don't know if it's still current German law, but back then, the parents were exempted from punishment as they had, quote unquote, suffered enough, just from the loss of their daughter. And her gravesite, which I'll post a picture on our website, her gravesite is like, and monument's not the word I'm looking for, but it's the only word I can think of right now. So like people from all over the world who know her story will come to pay respects, whether it's because they believe that she went through this actual like spiritual warfare, or just because there's her story like really just tears at their heartstrings, or because they feel like she was done so wrong and she didn't get the right help she needed. And it's like this huge gravesite with a little garden, and you can go see it and pay your respects and everything. So that is Exorcism of Emily Rose movie, Anneliese Michel.
Maybe they could be on our bucket list. Places to go.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Because again, despite how terrifying, and I just jumped right in listening to that. I didn't take my earbuds out at all. As terrifying as that is, and like just the story, and if you've seen the movie, you can kind of piece together some of where they got some of, the movie scenes from. It is just very sad. Very, very sad.
Right.
All right. So what are our thoughts?
So
straight up creepy.
Yeah.
I don't really like that. This is probably the scariest thing that I could think of about the paranormal. It's just that
Mhm.
it can get stuck in you and like
Mhm.
I don't know. So you've seen Exorcism of Emily Rose, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So how factual is that?
She was a devout Catholic. Farmhouse. There was a court case. It was based in modern times. Eating spiders, peeing on the floor, attacking people. I mean, I guess pretty factual, honestly. They
Cool.
they claimed she had epilepsy. They claimed that she had psychosis. She's on medications. So now that I actually am processing through it, decently factual. There's only one priest involved in the movie, so that's different. The parents weren't on trial in the movie, so that's different.
Well, cool, because I mean, after hearing that story, I'd want to watch it. But if it's like totally fabricated, then
No,
I wouldn't really.
it's not. It is, like I think I said this earlier. It's one of the movies that still to this day really actually scares me. So just knowing you, maybe watch it
Yeah.
when you have several hours to decompress still.
Sure.
Or
Okay.
just get, really, really tanked while you're watching it.
Yeah. Well, that's always an option. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. No, it's good. And I think it does. I mean, I don't know if the family feels this way, obviously, but I don't know if it does the story justice in their eyes or anyone who knows her firsthand or knows her story firsthand. But I think just from what I was able to pull up off the internet and the research that I found, it does a pretty good job.
Cool. Very cool.
Okay, so as far as possession goes, what do you guys think? Like, as far as your beliefs with, again, just like Christian beliefs, because we could have an episode on every single different religious belief, honestly.
Right. I mean,
True.
I believe it happens. I don't know what else to say about it, honestly. It's one of those topics that just freaks me out, so I don't really want to deal with it. Like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to see it. It's like almost if I don't acknowledge it, it's not there.
Like
it's just it freaks me out that much. So
like a T-Rex,
sorry.
if you don't move, it can't see you.
Right, exactly. I think we got fireworks going on.
Yeah, we
do. Okay.
So that's what the popping is.
Always.
Thank you for telling me. Because like I said, so I did a very classic high school and college student move, and I was like, oh, I've got 2 weeks. And then Wednesday is when I actually started doing my research, just like, 3 days ago, 4 days ago. And I have had something weird happen every day since I started diving into this. And almost always within minutes of me trying to listen to those audio clips. So Wednesday, I had a few free hours in the afternoon, and I was like, oh, I'm going to start my notes, like just look up some of like the history and stuff, and look up some of the, like, I know I want to do The Exorcist and the Exorcism of Emily Rose stories, so I'll start putting together like my rough notes or whatever. And I had a call that I had to take. And so I was like, okay, like I'm going to be done with my notes and researching and everything about 5 minutes beforehand. And it's like, well, that clip really freaked me out because I listened to a few different ones to find the right one that I wanted. And I took this call, and I have known this person for about 1.5 years, and never once have they talked to me about what they talked to me about that day. And they shared that they and the person they are living with are having what sounded to me like very malevolent activity. So being touched, hearing things, hearing strange things, seeing strange things. And out of all of the times that we could have talked about that, I just thought it was very strange that within 5 minutes of me turning off those audio clips in 1.5 years, that is when we had that conversation.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah.
Friday, I had my own personal, like, just virtual therapy appointment, and I had a half hour free where I was like, okay, I'm going to try this again because I got really freaked out Wednesday. So I
Yeah.
took a break on Thursday. And again, like, I went through and I was like cleaning up my notes and highlighting the big things I wanted to touch on and moving things around. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try listening to this audio clip. Like, I've got this. I can do this. Like, my dog was by my side, and I was like, I'm going to talk to my therapist anyways. So I've got someone to talk to if things get creepy. And I kind of got lost in the audio, and I was like, oh crap, like, I've got literally 30 seconds before my appointment's supposed to start. So I clicked the link to log into my virtual appointment, and it won't let me turn on the camera or my microphone. And I was like, well, that's really weird. So, like, I logged out, I made sure I clicked on the right link, made sure I clicked on the right date for the email, and it kept saying cannot connect, something went wrong. So I called in, and the girl at the front desk was like, oh yeah, my therapist name is Amanda. I don't care. She's like, Amanda's logged in on her end. She's saying that it's not, you're not connected yet. So it was all mine. And, we've all been doing this quarantine thing for almost 3 months now. And I have not had a single technical issue at any point in time with any of these appointments, any of these links. And all of a sudden, like, I'm waiting for her to call me because the front desk girl was like, oh, she'll just give you a call. I'll try sending you a new link to try. And I hear this like whoosh noise, and I hadn't clicked anything, and it just randomly connected me to her. And she could hear me. I could see and hear her, but she couldn't see me, even though the little light was on saying that my camera should be working. And again, all within, at that point, literally seconds after listening on my phone, not my computer, to this audio. Okay, so weird coincidence number 2.
Yeah, jeez.
Later that day, I'm in the drive-thru. I had taken Chance to his vet appointment, had to go pick up Leo's meds, and then we were going to go to Chance, my dog, for people who don't know, his first training class. Had to pick up my cat's meds. I was in the drive-thru for the pharmacy, and I wanted to tell my sister about these creepy things. And, like, you guys know my sister. She believes, but she doesn't believe, right? Like, she doesn't want to believe these things. So I'm on the phone with her, and I had my radio and stereo turned off. And all of a sudden she goes, like, I'm in the middle of telling her about the first weird coincidence. And she's like, Amber, do you have your radio on? And I was like, no, why? And she's like, I can hear like singing underneath your voice. And she was like, you don't hear that? I was like, I don't hear anything. And she's like, yeah, it sounds like a woman like humming.
Oh,
And
Jeez.
yeah, and she said that it went on the whole time I was talking about like my 2 creepy events, and then it kind of stopped as we just started talking normally. And then so last night, first, like a couple weeks ago, we changed out an outlet in our kitchen, and our wiring's all messed up. So like all of our outlets are connected, but only like the top outlets. It's really weird. But they've been working fine for the last couple weeks. And I woke up this morning out of a dream, dreaming about this case, particularly this Annalise Michelle case. And I heard this loud beep from our kitchen, which is usually signal that this little like carbon monoxide detector we have in is turning back on. And it only turns off when the power goes out. So we randomly at some point had some sort of power outage, at least only in the kitchen area. Because also our microwave, like the clock was out, and I know I reset it because my inner Monica Geller needs clocks to be set at all times. That was out, and I woke up out of this dream to thing like our power being reset or restarted or something in our kitchen this morning. So I have had very creepy things happen while researching this, and I have heard that other people who have researched this case have experienced electrical issues, technical difficulties, I listened to the Scared to Death podcast, and the guy, Dan Cummins, he also has another podcast where he did this case, and he had people write in that said when they were listening, especially to the audio clip, they had technical issues happen. Only with that episode, only in those seconds.
Oh, sweet. So we're just gonna screw up some people here.
I don't know, man, but I am very happy that we're finally recording it because I'm ready for it to be off my hands. Like, one weird thing I can handle. A couple weird things I can even say, like, okay, I'm just really anxious. But when my sister started talking about hearing a woman humming underneath while I was talking about it, like, I'm not okay with that. Like, no thanks.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share my weird things with you guys about that are just so, like, this is episode 7, and all the episodes that we've talked about stuff, I haven't had anything weird happen.
Right. And none of the other ones have been this creepy kind of.
No. Agreed.
Okay. Well, good luck tonight.
I know.
Neat.
I know. Good luck to everyone listening. Let us know if you have any weird technical problems.
Yeah, please.
No, like, actually, seriously, because that would just really freak me out.
Yeah.
All right.
Jeez. Okay.
You guys are so quiet now. What are you thinking?
We're sitting here in our dark room in the corner of our basement
with 4 candles.
With 4 candles lit. Because we like the whole ambiance thing.
Yes.
But that was a mistake. That was a mistake.
Oh. Yep. I know. I don't know. I'm going to have to watch something funny tonight. That's for sure.
Yeah. It's too bad that Friends isn't still on Netflix.
It's okay. I've got the DVDs, if anything.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah,
we've also been watching Even Stevens on Disney Plus. So
yeah, great. Also,
it is.
We've been circulating Boy Meets World since Friends left. We've probably watched Boy Meets World, the whole series, like 8 times.
Nice.
Yep.
I love it. Well, should I read the email?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Do it up. Who's this from again?
So it's from my friend Nicole in California.
Oh, sure. Okay.
So she says, I just wanted to write in and share with you the last experience of mine involving the Ouija board. I'm a friend of Amber's, and during episode 2, she shared a few experiences about us playing Ouija. Now, I always kind of remember looking back and thinking it was just fun, like how Amber said, nothing really ever spoke to us. It was just a little spooky things that would occur afterwards that always came up and sparked my attention and kept my attention. While listening to episode 2, in my head, I kept envisioning the old board Amber and I would play on, but for some reason, I was seeing it on a table in a dark room with windows in a corner. This little vision popped up about 3 or 4 times throughout your episode. I kept putting it out of my mind, and it wasn't until a day or 2 later that it hit me. She's very animated, so I'm just picturing her in my head right now. The last time I played Ouija board, I was at my then boyfriend's house. He lived on a hill overlooking a lake, and it was a good 15 minutes out of town. Very foresty, and his house was an old house that sat on this hill. It had these natural dark rooms. One room had these corner windows next to this table, and it had this water heater room that led to a crawl space to under the house, and you had to pass this heater room to get into the house and up the stairs. This water heater room always gave me the freaking creeps. Even in broad daylight, I couldn't dare to pass that water heater closet alone. So anyways, I swear, I've probably blocked this all out of fear because I know we played Ouija at this table in this house. I know it was with his friends. I don't recall the act of playing it or what questions we asked, but I know we unleashed something. One night, in the middle of the night, the boyfriend and I had been sleeping, and in the dead of our sleep, we both woke up scared shitless. His bedroom was at the top of the stairs at the end of the hall. We were woken up to this sound like something running up the stairs and down the hall, and it banged on the door and ran into the door. We woke up panicked. I was crying and scared. He went to look, and he couldn't believe it, but there was nothing there. No one was home. Just the force. You could hear something massive, huge. This was not a person running down the hall. I mean, it sounded like a stampede. Just writing this, I'm tearing up and have goosebumps everywhere. I never played the Ouija board ever again. That was my last time, at least 12, 13, 14 years ago. I thought I'd be up to playing again, but after typing that shit out, oh fuck no. LOL. Maybe. I don't know. Thanks for the episodes.
Sweet. Okay.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. I love you so much.
Yeah, thanks. That was awesome.
Yes. Good little entry, good little email to end on.
Yes.
So,
Lord, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little shaken up about this episode, so I'm just kind of.
I did my job. That was my goal, but I also very much scared myself in the process. So,
Yeah.
karma is a
bitch. It doesn't take me much to be scared.
Fair.
But
how are you, Megan? You're very quiet.
I'm all right. This stuff really gets to me, so I'm trying to,
yeah, it's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit in the technical van with Corey.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Nope, Devin's downstairs playing video games, so I'm about to turn all the lights on in the house and I don't know what I'm going to turn on, maybe The Office or Parks or Rec or That 70s Show, something funny that I've seen a million times. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch Superbad or something.
Do it. So to all our listeners, thank you. I hope you're sufficiently creeped out. A surprise episode. So I don't know if you have any weird experiences during or after listening to this, or just anything you want to share. As always, write into our email, our Facebook page, our Instagram.
Yeah, or if I know this is probably not possible. I don't know how many people are involved in this or whatever, but if you've had like a relative or something that has been asked to do an exorcism,
ooh,
you should let us know, because that'd be sick to hear about that kind of a story.
Yes.
Whether they did it or not. I mean, because you never realize that these are actually people's relatives.
No, you don't think about it. No,
yeah,
you're absolutely right. All right. Well, what do you guys think?
I don't know. I guess for the next episode, I can choose some random one then.
I love it. Yes. So another mystery episode coming up.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it might be like Scooby-Doo related or something.
I love it so much.
Okay. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this is very good episode to end the night. We should have done this at like noon today.
Yep. I concur.
I don't know. Take it away. We can end it and turn on every light in the house.
All right. Well, hopefully we didn't scare anyone too bad. Hopefully no one needs to change their pants after listening to this. But if you do, I don't know, go watch Friends or something. Do something for yourself. And as always, thank you for listening. Keep sending us stories, because we do love those. And we will have another mystery episode coming up next time, it sounds like.
Yep.
All right. Bye, guys.
All right, Bye.
Bye.